Imagine spending years engineering the most advanced AI-driven spaceship in human history. It has the best thrusters, impeccable life support, and top-tier navigation. But all of that incredible technology is useless if you fly it to the wrong planet. This is the default setting for many businesses. It's called inside-out thinking. It occurs when a company looks at its own factory floor, lists its existing tools and materials, and builds a product based on what they are already good at making, regardless of whether the market has requested it. This mindset creates a specific type of friction. A company develops an item in isolation, then instructs the sales team to go out and force the public to want it. When you lead with your capabilities rather than market needs, you end up competing on price alone, leading the business into a race to the bottom price war. Look at a company like Siam Chemclean. They manufactured industrial floor cleaner for hotels, and they were proud of a chemical formula that was both effective and cheap to produce. Their strategy was entirely inside out. Because their factory was optimized for bulk liquid production, they sold the cleaner in massive 20-liter jugs. Their pitch to hotel procurement managers was simple. Our soap is $5 cheaper per liter than the competition. But the hotels didn't switch. Procurement managers either ignored the pitch or negotiated the price down so far that Siam Chemclean's profit margins vanished. Even an inexpensive, high-quality product will fail if it only solves a line item on a spreadsheet, while ignoring the actual friction points of the daily operation. To break the cycle, Siam Chemclean had to pivot to outside-in thinking. The CEO stopped looking at the factory floor and spent a week on the hotel floor. This is the first pillar of the pivot: deep empathy. The leadership bypassed the buyers and procurement officers to directly observe the end users, the housekeeping staff. Direct observation revealed problems the factory couldn't see. The 20-liter jugs were so heavy that staff were frequently injuring themselves just trying to lift and pour them into mop buckets. Furthermore, high staff turnover meant the hotel was constantly training new workers, who often couldn't read the safety and instruction labels written in Thai. This led to improperly mixed chemicals. Sometimes the floors were left dangerously slippery. Other times, the soap was too diluted to clean anything, wasting money and creating a liability for the hotel. These operational costs were invisible to the procurement office, but they were the primary pain points for the people actually running the building. Siam Chemclean returned to their lab, but this time they weren't looking for a better chemical. They were looking for a way to fix the housekeeper's workflow. They made a radical decision. They discontinued the 20-liter jugs, their primary product, and invented smart cleaning pods. These were color-coded, water-soluble capsules with visual instructions. One pod equaled exactly one mop bucket. There was no measuring, no heavy lifting, and no language barrier. Even though the pods cost 30% more per liter to produce, the hotels bought them immediately. By solving the hotel's labor and safety issues, Siam Chemclean moved out of the price war. They were no longer selling soap. They were selling a reduction in operational risk. True customer centricity is a rewiring of the organization. It changes which departments lead the conversation and how resources are allocated. This was the core philosophy Steve Jobs used to develop products that people would eventually integrate into their daily lives. He insisted that you must start with the customer experience and work backward to the technology, rather than starting with a tool and looking for a place to use it. This outside-in approach changes the relationship between departments. At Siam Chemclean, the R&D team had to stop focusing on chemical purity and start focusing on packaging and visual communication. When every department, from the labs to the accounting office, is measured by user success, internal friction decreases. You can test your own organization's mindset with a few diagnostic questions. When was the last time your leadership team spent a full day observing an end user in their natural environment, rather than reading a summary of their data? Are your team KPIs tied to pushing a specific volume of product, or are they tied to the customer's actual success and resulting profitability? Is your customer service department treated as a cost center for complaints, or is it funded as your most important research and development goldmine? If you build from the inside out, you will spend your time trying to convince people to care. If you build from the outside in, you become the solution.